I'm Danno.
I'm Dave.
I'm Antonio.
And I'm Gordon.
And this is the Basement Roadshow AV Club. We watch things and talk about them. We're like a book club, only your daughter doesn't bother you to log back into Minecraft.
Yeah, I got logged out on on Minecraft. Can you come? Because if I unplug my computer, it dies.
Well, I can't come right now, but I can do it later, okay?
Really?
Yes, I'll be back in a little bit, okay?
Why?
Isn't it your login?
No, it's your email, right?
I don't know. I'll be back in a little bit, okay? We are rewatching Arrow and currently are at season 1, episodes 11 through 15 to talk about the show, how much we like it, what we don't like about it, and how much it has changed from what we know of it now.
Something I want to show you.
You're finally getting into online dating and you need help with your profile.
Not exactly.
One day, I hope you're lucky enough to have a daughter. And you'll know why.
Learned that at Australian spy school?
Slade, come back to die.
What? I'm trapped on an island and my only friend is named Wilson. So.
Saved by the Cell.
How'd you know where I live?
A little thing called the internet.
There's a focus on the flashback story in these episodes, which is much needed and extremely enjoyable in my opinion, and Slade Wilson is finally introduced. I think I enjoyed almost every moment with him on screen, but my favorite is the scene where he starts to train Oliver.
When he gets introduced, finally, it's excellent because he comes across immediately as like really menacing and really capable. And I think my favorite part of this set of episodes is the airfield assault, particularly when Slade and Wintergreen end up going at it. It's a really cool early action set piece, and it's probably where the stakes of the flashbacks are raised significantly.
I'll, second that motion. I mean, of this batch of episodes, I definitely like episode 14 the most, which is almost entirely just the flashback sequence. The introduction of Slade, the training of Oliver, the airfield assault, every piece that's introduced during that episode just, like you said, raises the stakes, and it's so much better than what we've kind of gotten from the flashbacks previously, too. And I think that jump in kind of quality is really awesome.
Yeah, I would say, and this might be a little weird, I guess, but my favorite part about Slade's introduction is just him constantly berating Oliver all the time.
It's
just like,
so
Oliver, you ain't shit. Like, you fucking suck, kid, and I'm going to have to scramble this shit just to keep us alive, and it's really just not a good use of my time here.
Side note, one part about that I think helps it work later on, though, is when Oliver does start being capable later on and starts like doing well and Slade praises him. It feels really genuine because, we're so used to Slade fucking just berating the hell out of him.
I think that's where you really start to see how Oliver developed such a thick skin is essentially from his training with Slade and how he doesn't let him get by with the bare minimum. Out of these 5 episodes, I personally didn't care for the Vertigo episode outside of the developments that happen in the flashbacks. What are some of your thoughts on that?
About ready to pitch you off a cliff if we were in the same room here, Danno. Number one, as I think like a huge fan of the Green Arrow comics, there's a lot of really cool like comic book nods in this episode. Count Vertigo being like probably like the second or third most important Green Arrow villain, like right behind the Merlin. But also you get a lot of cool nods to like Thea's character, who in the comics has had some issues with drug addiction and things like that. I think you get some really cool development on that side of things as well for Thea. We get to see sort of the character development engine where she turns into not a total piece of shit. And I love the just over-the-top nature of the Vertigo thing. It really just kind of, especially in this first season, reminds you like, yep, you're watching a comic book show. It's not just like gritty Nolan-esque takes on everything.
And I think to some extent, that's what I don't like about it. It's very comic booky. It's very cheesy. There are a lot of really bad lines in that episode, especially for me, the one where she's having the talk with her mom about like, why didn't you get mad at me when I said I wish you had died? And she's like, I hope someday you have a daughter and you'll know why. Like, just shoot me with an arrow.
That was terrible. That was such a bad joke, dude.
Yeah, I know.
And I appreciate it. So on one hand, I totally get why somebody would not like it, because it is very hammy and comic booky. On the other, that's kind of why I like it. It is probably one of the most comic booky episodes in the entire series, and I appreciate the hell out of it for that reason.
I can definitely agree with that in the fact that it feels like one of the most comic booky episodes, because pretty much every episode we've seen so far up to that point, the villain or whatever has been kind of a normal person. And then you get the Count, who's just a caricature of a drug dealer. And the fact that he's like super hammy, really kind of like the juxtaposition of him being super hammy versus these normal people does make it feel very comic booky, like you said.
Yeah, because you know why they call him the Count, right?
Oh my God.
Because he tested his drugs on the homeless people, prostitutes and the like, and they all had 2 holes in their necks. I'm sorry, it's so bad.
It's okay. I mean, yeah, that's pretty bad. I can't.
I will say, maybe the episode as a whole is not terrible, but the dialogue in it, I feel, could have been better developed to make it less hammy.
Y'all just forgot how to have fun. That's what this is about.
That's usually your job.
That's usually my job. So the fact that I have to defend the fun of a guy using 2-prong needles or like syringes to inject people with a drug and being compared to Count Dracula is pretty fucking wild.
I mean, even everything else that comes out of it, he's like, oh, good wine is measured in age. Good drugs are measured in how many people it kills. Like,
Yeah, it's not great.
A lot of character development happens in these episodes, specifically in regards to relationships. And my personal favorites are the conflicts between Oliver and Diggle, that in these episodes are less physical and more emotional than some of the episodes prior. And the relationship between Laurel and her father, especially in episode 13, where Lance chooses his hatred for the vigilante essentially over his daughter and her safety to some extent. I felt that those conflicts in the relationships were done so well. What do you guys think?
So in regards to the conflicts between Oliver and Diggle, and about kind of the emotional nature of it, just my big complaint, my big gripe about it is just how goddamn blind Oliver is to like even the potential that his mom might not be a saint. Like Robert, straight up told him that he's a bad person. He gave him a book that full of just, bad people. Like the evidence is stacking. Even Thea says, hey, I think mom's cheating on Walter. Like there's just this list of evidence that just keeps stacking up. And the one time that Oliver actually says, okay, maybe I need to do something about it, I'm going to hold up a picture of my kids and now everything's okay. What?
I love that too, because then she shoots him, right? Like puts him out of commission for a little bit, and then afterwards he's like, "Nah, we're just gonna chill out on this." And it's like she shot you. She's a sociopath. Like she baited you in with the sob story about her kids, and then fucking shot you. And you're just like, nah.
See, here's the thing. I don't know if I really see that as sociopathic. I see that as a woman, as somebody who's presented with a significant, she's looking at somebody who's killed a lot of people up to this point. She's just using her guile to try to get out of that situation. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Moira is in a lot of ways sociopathic, but I think that particular situation is more just her like doing what she has to do, That's how I saw it.
She is cold hard.
Definitely cold. She is colder than shit, for sure.
I think the other thing that I want to call out here. I love the Laurel and Quentin relationship as it develops. If for no other reason, then Quentin is really, really good. Like, Paul Blackthorne as an actor is so good at playing a guy that you just always want to punch in the face at all times. Like, it's really easy to hate Quentin in these early episodes, even though I think he's got a good motivation, a good backstory,
Absolutely.
and it really adds to the character.
He's a sympathetic character that even though he's sympathetic, like, he plays the angry, like, he's so angry and vindictive that it plays against him, and it works so well.
And it's an emotional note too that you get really at the end of episode 13 when Laurel's about to storm off and he stops her after he's put her life in danger in order to try and capture the vigilante. And he's like, Laurel, the phone, and he wants the phone back so that he can further essentially track the vigilante and all that. And it's basically he's choosing his pursuit of the vigilante over his daughter at that point. And you can see he's conflicted of it because, as Gordon said, he's a great actor, but he's still choosing that. And for me, that just that hit me. So now that we're done with that, let's talk about love.
You're finally getting into online dating and you need help with your profile.
Love is definitely in the air with episode 15, where we see Diggle finally asking out his former sister-in-law, Carly, and Oliver asks out Detective McKenna Hall. And personally, I didn't care for the relationship between Oliver and McKenna. They just didn't seem to fit for me. Their date was even more of a sham than Diggle and Carly's. What do you guys think?
I agree. The whole relationship just kind of felt forced or contrived. Like, it didn't really feel like organic at all. It's just, I don't know. It felt like something that they made happen more to advance a certain plot point than an actual organic relationship or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those things too where McKenna Hall gets introduced and then immediately they're on a date, and it's kind of like you can just tell that this character isn't going to be around for a very long time.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So it's like, what are we doing here? Like, I get it, especially in the first couple seasons. Oliver spends a lot of time fucking around. But it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, McKenna is introduced, and then 12 seconds later, they're making bedroom eyes at each other. And at that point, since she hasn't even developed as a character, all we really know about her before she's goes out on a date with Oliver is she's attractive because she's an actor or an actress on a CW show, so of course she is, and she's a cop. That's it. And it's like, hey, we're going to be in a relationship. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think Diggle and Carly's thing was done much better, especially with the meta knowledge of future things. But, the Oliver and McKenna thing was definitely very contrived.
I'm Danno.
I'm Dave.
I'm Antonio.
I'm Gordon.
And this has been the Basement Roadshow AV Club. Join us next time as we'll be watching Arrow Season 1, Episodes 16 through 20.
Vice, Major Crimes, Vigilante Task Force. Is McKenna just basically Cop Felicity?
All right, now, if we're going to talk about Felicity, okay, guys, I have to say, okay, how does Felicity know how to do everything as an IT person? Okay, I mean, she gets asked by Oliver to run a spectro analysis on some liquid to find out where the water came from. And it's like, what IT person knows how to do this? I used to work in IT. I never handled water at all other than to put it in my body. She knows how to fix a defibrillator because wires are wires, and she's been building computers since she was 7. What? No, that's not how machines work. How?
But she looks good doing it, though.